Hi, good afternoon. It's Susie with the Speckled Loon. I'm going to I've hopped on just a minute or two early so I can check that everything is going through and there's sound on everything. So I'm just going to check it on my phone real quick to make sure that we're live on Facebook and YouTube. And then we'll get started with the formal introductions of everything. I hope everybody's having a great uh, Thursday afternoon, enjoying the Olympics. Okay, I see him live on YouTube or on Facebook. I'm going to check YouTube real quick and then we will get going on our way. Let's see, hasn't shown up on YouTube yet. How's everybody doing today? I've been watching the Olympics and it's been interesting, right? Lots of great, interesting sports you never see otherwise. And there we go. Okay, all right, and we're just about a minute away, so I'll get started right at noon with formal introductions and everything. If you're new to seeing us on live, go ahead and just leave a comment below with your name, where you're tuning in from. We always love to see that. And if you have any questions, that would, just drop them in there as we go along. I'm going to post a couple links in the comments here and there. And like I said, if you have any questions, holler. But I always enjoy if you're tuning in to leave a comment below. I appreciate that. That helps me out with interaction and just getting a little free boost for this video. So all right, it is noon and it is Thursday, February 19th. Welcome. My name is Susie. I am the owner of the Speckled Loon, uh, handmade business based in Grand Forks, North Dakota. And I do craft shows and workshops. We're going to talk about what we've got coming up for the spring for both of those items. And basically, what I do is I make everything in my home, in my workshop, and then I have a website and I take it to 5 to 7 craft shows every year. I've got two coming up this spring. We only had one last year, and this year we're back to two in the spring. Our first one is coming up March 21st and 22nd at the Alaris Center in Grand Forks, North Dakota, at the Grand Forks or Greater Grand Forks Camper Show. And that is put on by Budget RV and also Leisureland RV. And I'm one of the vendors. They're going to have all the floor full of beautiful campers. And then along the side is going to be a select group of vendors. I'm one of those. I'm going to be bringing a lot of fun camping and fishing stuff. And I'll show you about that in a minute. And then the other one I'm doing is right after Easter, April 10th and 11th in Minot, North Dakota. It's the only show I do in Minot. So if you're one of my Minot area customers, that's when you can come see me and get some of our products. So, and how you can find out about where our shows are at. If you're watching us on Facebook, on our right on our page, there's a little menu at the top. You click down and look at events, they're there. But I also have them, I'm just going to quick show you on our website, which is thespeckledloon.com. If you come over here to events and click, everything shows up. Here's our Granny Square workshop that's coming up on March 1st. March 21st is that Grand Forks Camper Show, and it's also on the 22nd. And then April 10th and 11th, we're going to be in Minot. And then we have another workshop coming up in April on the 19th. And those are the four things we've got coming up. Shortly after that, we'll be signed up for all of our fall shows, and I'll have those on there too. But right now, these are the four events I've got. And we're going to be making the things from this Granny Square workshop. If you're from the Grand Forks area or can get to my place on March 1st, you just will come over to thespeckledloon.com/events and you click on this and then you scroll down, and down here's where you get your tickets. If you're buying for you and a friend or whatever, and then you just click get tickets. You put in your name and email address, and that's it. It's just a digital ticket that you're going to get, and then you can come to the workshop and we're going to make some fun stuff. And remember that I will be making all of those items here today. So I'm going to get us back to our layout where you just see me, and we're going to talk about our little cow here and a few other things I'm bringing. And if you are tuning in, I see I've got a couple people live with me. Can you just say hello in the comments and where you're tuning in from? That would really help me out. I appreciate that so much. And we'll talk about our spring stuff, and then we're going to get into a crafting session. So when we come to our spring shows, we bring a little bit of different stuff than to our fall shows. When you come to our spring shows, we're going to have more fun spring and summer items. Just checking to make sure I don't have any crazy notifications. Okay, we're good. In the fall, we've got more, of course, fall, holiday, winter type things. And when we come for our spring shows, we like to bring out the fun spring elements, like this cute little Highland cow sign here. I'll just bring her up close so you can see she's got a little wreath full of a little crown of flowers, and she sits on a little stand. All our individual items that we have for sale, these little mini signs, etc. If they're not in a box, they come with a little two-piece stand. And this little Highland cow was really popular last year. We brought her back since we just had the one show in Minot last year, so I made more. So we have a few for Grand Forks and Minot this year. And speaking of Highland cows, I have two more springish summer signs. They were very popular also in the fall, but we've got one here where he's got sunflowers. He's holding a sunflower. And then we've got this other sunflower one, which was one of our best sellers last year, where they've got that crown of sunflowers on their head. And isn't that cute? So those are three of our new things. And also for sunflowers, because they are very popular around here. I live in sunflower country. I've got these three gnome sunflower signs. So there's this one here, and you can see little gnome sunflower farm is for her. And then I've got this little guy here, and these are just part of our mini decor. These will be loaded up on our website after, if I've got any left over afterwards, after our two shows. So there, we also bring some fun camping and lake type things. What do I want to say? Our spring and summer, and it's just big lake country around here. I'm right on the border of North Dakota and Minnesota. Seems like everybody goes camping or to the lake. This is one of our all-time best-selling. Camping is my therapy. You can get this on our website too. But everybody loves this sign. There's this fun little, I've got a boy and a girl version of this little gnome here. And it's got these cute little hiking trails, bathrooms, all these fun little signs next to it. And this is just in a standalone box frame. And then we've got a fair amount of patriotic things coming up with our, of course, 250th anniversary of, Declaration of Independence coming up. We've got fun patriotic things. I've got this little boy and girl box gnome set. You can see they're in their own little box. I don't know how well that shows up, but she's got a little star she holds, as does he. And then we've got a whole nother patriotic gnome I'll show you in a minute. Got one of them down there. Part of all of our big display of interchangeable gnomes that hold different things. She's holding a little firework. And then you can swap out. I've got a USA, I've got a star, different things like that. And this is going to be part of one of our workshops coming up too. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The other thing that I like to bring out in our spring and summer shows are kind of some farm related things. And I've got this cute little chicken coop that comes into this little stand here, kind of our crazy chickens collection. And it says farm fresh and eggs. And then I've got this little cute chicken that fits into this special stand that looks like a little nest. It's a wood slice and it's got some moss on it and it's got little legs. So this is kind of fun little decor. And then the other things that we bring every year are our interchangeable items, which I showed you the gnome earlier. We introduced a couple years ago our interchangeable baskets, where you get a little basket. This one's reversible. It's white on one side and brown on the other. I'll do the white side. It kind of pops a little bit more. And there's many other different designs of baskets, but they all hold these fun little items here. And you see there's a little notch at the bottom, and there's a little slot for that notch right here. And it just fits right in there. Here's our little Easter bunny gnome. Okay. And then we've got other fun items that, like, this one's shaped like a little house. That's new this year. And here's our St. Patrick's Day. Just going to get that in there. Our St. Patrick's Day gnome, and he fits in there. And we have all kinds of inserts for spring, summer, winter, fall, Christmas, holidays, everything. These are just a couple I thought I'd bring out because they're kind of fun and springy. We just had 9 inches of snow. So I'd love to, after that, and we've got a driveway cleared, I like to think about spring and summer because I'm kind of done with winter. So these are your fun little interchangeable baskets. They're super popular. Whenever you buy like one of the basket bases, you get, when you're at a show, you get to pick out a free insert to go along with it. And then each additional insert is $7. And I do have all of these loaded up on the website too. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. And then the other popular item on our website is our interchange, and at shows, is our interchangeable frames. So we've got these little mini tiles, and I'm going to bring one of them out here in just a minute. I'm going to bring out this one because this one's new. I always make some fun little mini tiles, and this is like, I don't know. Yeah, you can see it there. It says, if it weren't for the wind, and it's got the shape of North Dakota and kind of blowing wind on it. And we've got them for all the holidays. Like, here's a Valentine one. P.S. I love you. We've got all these different ones, and they fit into these different frames. We've got lots of different frames. And for our spring and summer shows, I thought it would be really fun to have a camper, a little vintage camper, and you just slip your tiles in there and you can display different ones. I'll just get one out here. See, I have a camping one. I don't have a camping one with me, but I've got, this is fun. I've got ones for pet lovers. This one that says less people, more dogs, cat mom. But you just slip these in here, and then you can swap them out. So I've got, I'll just show you. This is one of our many different frames. It's on this little box, and you can store all your tiles in the box, but you can just slap them in and you get something different every time. So then we can put in our Valentine one, St. Patrick's Day, Christmas, fall, winter. There's food. I've literally got dozens and dozens of different ones to pick from. This was a big seller last year, the Stand Up and Cheer for North Dakota. And they just swap in and out. And so whenever you buy one of the base frames, you'll get one free of these, of whichever one you want. Plus then each additional tile is $6. So I invite you to come check those out. They're some of our best sellers. So those are just some of the things I'm bringing to the spring shows this year. I'm going to be obviously bringing way more things. If you know our booth, we've got literally hundreds of things that you can buy. They're all affordable. I don't have anything over $50 in my booth, hardly, maybe one lake sign. That's about it. Um, but you come and you shop and you can buy things, teacher gifts, gifts for yourself. And the fun thing about a lot of these things is they're very small. So if you have something like a smaller home or you decorate minimally or you want to put a few fun little things in your RV, this, what we have in our booth is ideal for you because it's small. It can get stashed in a drawer or shoebox and then swapped out easily. So I encourage you to come and visit us. Again, we're going to be in Minot the right after Easter, April 10th and 11th, I believe it is. And then we are going to be that third week in March at the Alaris Center in Grand Forks, March 21st and 22nd. It's a Saturday, Sunday at the camper show. And I don't know if they'll have us in the same spot, but usually we're in you come through the entrance and we're the first booth along the back wall, along the wall as you come in. So um, looking forward to that. And now we're going to start crafting. I want to make the things, and we're going to talk about the workshop we've got coming up on March 1st. And then I'm going to make a sample of all the items for you. But we've got two workshops coming up. The first one is March 1st. It's here in Grand Forks, North Dakota. So if you are local or within a, half hour, 40-minute, even an hour drive for me, it's on a Sunday afternoon, March 1st. We start at 1 and we always try to be done by 4 o'clock. If we need to go a little longer, we do. It's no big deal, but we try to be done by there then. And what we're making is a granny tile, wooden flower tile square. We're making 3 of those, and then we're making a little basket insert. You get a basket, and then we've got some other things we're going to do. So, what we're going to make are 3 of. I'm just going to get the stands ready here because everything goes on a little stand. You're going to make 3 tiles, and they look like granny squares, but they're not crocheted. They're made out of wood. So you get this deluxe frame here that's going to hold one of the squares, and you can swap out whichever one you want in. Okay. And then we're going to make 3 squares. So here's one of the, and I decided to make these kind of vintage 70-ish looking sunflower type squares, but you can make them in whatever color you want. So there's one of them. And then I'll get this stand. You get the stands come with, and this frame here, this deluxe interchangeable frame, that is already made for you. All you have to do there, and you can change the color on it if you want, but it comes in this brown. And so that's all you have to do there is put in whichever one you want. And so what I did was I just kind of made a triptych of the orange, yellow, and white on each of mine. So you can see that they look just each one a little bit different than the next. Okay. And so you're going to make 3 of these, and they're super easy to make because they're just the frame, this big part, the flower, and the center. And everything is pre-primed for you. So all you have to do is paint with either a marker or a little sponge. And you're also getting this fun little insert that you get to make for the basket, and the basket's already made for you. And there's going to be one more little sign that we're going to make too, one of our little mini squares. So that's what you're going to make when you come. And I am going to show you how we're going to make all that here in just a minute. I'm going to swap my camera around so you have an overhead view of what I'm making. But again, if you want to sign up, I have got the link for this class right here. And then the class that we're doing in April, I'm just going to show you that real quick. And then you can, if that interests you more, you can go to that events, speckleloom.com/events, and then sign up for this one. But here we're going to be making Patriot Barn quilt squares, and they're going to be a patriotic theme. They're going to come pre-colored, the red, white, and blue, and then you get to assemble them in the pattern that you want. And then you also get one of our patriotic gnomes to go along with it. So that's going to come up in Excel. So if that one interests you more, you can just go to that. Like I said, I'll quickly show you where to go to sign up. You come back over to our website. I'll get you back to the home screen here. Hold on. If you come to the speckledloon.com, you just come over here to events, and then you'll scroll down. You'll see there's the first one. That's the one you want. You click on it, or the other one is right here. Also, I'm going to show you too, once we come back, if you can't make our shows or workshops and want to shop the things that I have at our craft shows, right on the front page, it says shop our bestsellers here. And you just click on whatever picture of the item that you want to shop. So if you want to get our memorial ornaments, our interchangeable gnomes, those tiles that I showed you, or our basket inserts, they're right there. And then I also have a section for our UND and NDSU decor, because those are our most, I guess, in demand or popular customer items. So I'm going to quickly shift things around here with our camera, and then we're going to start crafting. And I hope you enjoy it. If you've got questions along the way, feel free to ask. And I'll answer as best as I can while I'm crafting. It's hard to see the comments all the time, but I'm going to just move a few things around and get us ready to roll here. Set that over there. And then I'm going to move a couple things, and you'll see the camera flip here in just a second, like you're on a roller coaster ride, because I'm going to be putting it on a different stand so that I can have an overview while I work and you can see what I'm doing. So let's see here. I'm going to bring our overhead down. Okay, here you go. Don't get dizzy. Okay, I'm going to see our workspace here, and I'm going to expand that view in just a minute. Get the computer mouse out of the way and get the computer out of the way. All right. Try to straighten that out. Okay. Come up here so we're in frame. So when you come to our workshop, everything that you get to paint is going to come pre-primed this white color for you. Reason being, it is a lot easier to get a nice color result than if it was just this bare wood or bare MDF. So I pre-prime it for you, and then I cut it and then gather it all together. So we're going to be making that little insert right here, this fun little sign, and then our craft tiles, or our granny square tiles. So today I already decided I'm going to do similar colors. I am going to do blue, a little bit of brown, or blue, a little bit of brown, and yellow. So instead of this orange, I'm going to be using a blue. So I'm going to be doing some coloring with that and coloring our items accordingly. So I'm going to show you how to do the little things first, and then I'm going to show you how to do one of the tiles, but you'll be making 3 in the workshop, but we don't need to do the same thing over 3 times. So I'm going to just set these aside for a second. And then we'll get, the first thing we're going to make is this fun little sign here. It's just a ball of yarn with a crochet hook, and it's going to get adhered to the little tile, and then it's got a little stand for it. And these little items are super, super easy to work on, and they're very easy to paint. You can use regular paint, and we've got that at our workshop. But the other thing I have for you are paint markers. And I really like using the paint markers for our smaller items. So I am going to color this ball of yarn a pretty blue to kind of match the blue that I'm going to be making our granny squares out of. And then I'm going to color the little crochet hook in a silver. So everything here is really easy. You can see we've got our little score marks and things and lines to go through. And this is why I like using the paint markers as opposed to paint, because the little lines shine through and they don't get all clogged. And if they do, we have a trick for that anyway. But everything that we make with these is super easy. So you just take your paint marker, and like I said, at the workshop, I'll have all these for you. And you just paint, but you get more control than if you're using paint and a paintbrush. That's what I like about it. And it still shows all the lines in there. Those are etched in with the laser cutter. And then you can do things like shade things if you want. You can get fancy. I have all the tools and tips for you to do that at the workshop. Okay. And if you make a mistake, you can just go over it with another color or coat. It's very easy. I'm going to try to stay in frame as best I can for everything. Okay, so we've got the blue part, and then I'm going to do the crochet hook. Like I said, they're usually a metallic color, so I'm going to go ahead and do that in silver. So here I've got this silver metallic, and I'll have ones like that at the workshop. And I'm just going to do that, and then I'm going to get as close up to that line as possible. Keeping it neat. There we go. And the little bump of the crochet hook down here. There. That's all there is to this one. It's super easy. It's kind of like the starter project we'll start off with and get going with. And then if you want, like I said, you can take markers and shade things in. I like to take my white marker and draw a couple extra highlights in here. Maybe a highlight here. My favorite is just kind of follow the lines and do dots and dashes. Maybe do one on my hook and down here. And just kind of dress it up a little bit. Okay. And this is going to just get glued right on to this little backer. This flat bottom lines up right with the bottom, and then it just kind of diagonally goes like that. And you will get glue at the workshop, similar to the glue that I'm using. So you get a nice, you just put a few little dots. It's a super glue. This brand is called Star Bond Thick. You'll have a gel super glue that at the workshop, because that's a little easier to work with. You just put that and line up that flat bottom with the edge there. Press it. Let me get this focused here. There we go. Press it real good for just a few seconds and it's already adhered. Then you get this cute little mini sign. And that goes right on there and you can display it. So that's all there is to that first project. Super easy. All right. And you can see where this can go really fast once we get going. So the other thing that we are going to make is this little yarn bundle. Okay. And like I said, the one that I did was yellow, orange, and brown. The one I'm doing today is going to be a little bit of brown, white, blue, and yellow. So that's what I'm going to be using today. So I've got a yellow marker and I've got that blue marker. All right. And and then these are the little ones that I'm going to color. And just for the sake of speediness and repetition, they're already colored. We're going to do our accent on them. And I'm going to show you how to use a sponge to do the brown. So the brown I'm using is this antique wax color. And I like to just take a sponge I use these at the workshop. You'll get these. These are little makeup wedge sponges, and they're super dense. You can get a cheap version of them at the Dollar Tree, but I like these ones. I get an Amazon brand from Amazon. They're nice and dense and thick. And we're going to go ahead and just put a teeny little bit of this antique wax, and it's kind of translucent once you get it on. And you go on your sponge and you dab it off. So it's almost like it's dry. All right. And then you just go over, and you don't have to worry about being neat because those other ones are going to go ahead and cover that up. But then you get that nice brown color on there, as you can see. This one I'm just going to leave white because I've got white in my project. So, and then here again on these ones that I have already painted with my markers, I can go ahead and do a couple accents like that. Just there and there. And then if you want to get some shading on it, you can take that antique wax and do a little shading on it along the bottom. Along the side, just to get a little dimension to it. I don't know if you can see how much of that I did, but I did it very lightly just to get some shading. And then everything goes together like a puzzle. So, and these two little pieces already have an adhesive backing on them. And to get those off, it's like a sticker, basically. I just like to use this little pin pen. You'll get one at the workshop. And then I like to line them up exactly with the piece that they need to go on. So if you see, this one looks like a little teapot almost with that handle. That's going to get lined up right on this part here. I'm just going to take it off camera so I make sure I'm lined up. And press it and see how that's lined up. And then you just press it down to adhere it. And it's just like a sticker. Okay. And then same thing with this one. That's going to line up right on there as well. Just like that. So I'm going to take off that backer, and you can't see it on camera, but it's got a sticky backing to it. And it makes it super easy to line up. You just want to make sure you've got that notch down at the bottom because that's what's going to go in your basket. There we go. And now that's all lined up. And so that little piece is done already. And like I said, that's just going to go in your basket. Let's see if I can find the basket. There it is. And it just goes in like that. Okay, so we have got two parts of our items done already. We've got our basket, yarn insert, and we have our little yarn sign. So now I'm going to talk about how the little square tiles work, and they're really cool, and I hope you like them. So I like to plan out my color scheme, and so like I told you, you're making 3 tiles, and I want my color scheme to be blue, yellow, and white on those tiles with a little hint of brown. So just for easiness sake, I've already printed one or painted all the items up in one in blue. Okay. I'm going to leave another one just white. I'm leaving it all white. I'm not doing anything with this. And then I'm going to show you how I painted the yellow one. I'm going to just set this one aside. This is the yellow we're going to be working with. And there's different ways we can do this. Then I'm going to show you how we kind of shade everything and put everything together. So I'm just going to set those aside for a second. I'm going to take one of my pre-done white tiles, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how they go together, how I paint them. There's different ways we can paint them, how we shade and detail them, etc. So here is how your tiles come. Like I said before, they come pre-primed white. And anything you want, you can leave one white, you can paint them, you can do whatever color you want. I'm going to have a variety of paints at the workshop for you to use. And you can use any of the colors that you want. And I'm going to have all kinds of markers for you to use also. So first of all, I'm going to show you how we do things with a marker. Then I'm going to show you how we do things with paints and the sponges. And then I'm going to show you how everything goes together. So you're going to take your pieces apart. And like I said, if I'm doing a 3-color one, I paint one, all of it blue, and then we're going to bust it apart. Leave the left one white, and then we've got this one, we'll do yellow. So if you want, like what I like to do for the markers is use those on these nice skinny little pieces. And so for the markers, here's what I like to do. I like to use them for the control of doing the small skinny pieces, because to do that with a paintbrush would be just a total mess and a pain. You can do it with the sponge or the brush and have pretty good control, but it's just a lot easier to use a marker. So we're just going to use a marker here on this to just kind of show you how easy it is. Okay. All right, so now I've got that frame done already. So now for this part here, let's just say I want to paint that with one of the paint colors, a regular traditional paint color that I'll have, like this yellow is kind of like a sunflower yellow. And I'll just get a clean sponge. And I'm going to put a little bit of paint on this paper plate. You don't need much, because you can always add more later. But you're going to dip your sponge in that paint, and you're going to just dab it off to where it's not a lot of paint on there, but you'll just go over it like this. And what that does, and you can see you've got your yellow starting to come. And yellow, you'll always have to do 2 coats, just FYI. But what that starts to do is give you your paint color, and it's not getting paint on the sides. It's not getting paint down in the little areas here. It's just getting the paint where you want it. That's the beauty of doing it with these sponges. Now, like I said, you might have to do a couple of coats, especially with a yellow. But it gives you these sponges, that nice dense sponge. They give you great control. And that's how you paint with a sponge on these things for your colors. You don't need a lot of paint, and you don't want to do a lot of paint because it doesn't give you the control that you want. You end up with a mess, paint all over everything and blobs and that type of thing. So you just want to go over that like that. Now I'm also going to have a few pre-painted ones for you too. So if you don't want to mess with paint at all and you just want to use my pre-painted tiles, we can do that. Okay. Now, likewise on these bigger parts, if you'd rather, just set that aside. If you'd rather, you can use the markers on them as well. All right. So let's just say I want to use the marker on the flower. And just start painting with the marker on the flower, just like we did on all our other pieces. Okay, super easy. And same thing, you have that nice control where you're not getting down in the grooves. You keep your nice crisp edge, that type of thing. I don't like to get paint on the edges of my projects, especially on ones that have to fit together. That's how that is. Now let's just say for my project, I wanted to have this center thing brown instead of white or yellow. Okay, I'm going to just take my brown antique wax again because I'm going to have like a sunflower on one of them. So I want a brown center. I don't want it blue. I don't want it, whatever. I'm just going to do that and make that brown. And I can wipe it away to make it lighter if I want, more of like a tan, or I can go over it again and just kind of really lay it on and let that dry. Now, to put this together, it has to go a certain way. And I have marked all the pieces to make that easy for you. So, to put this together, you might be wondering, how does it all go together again? I have marked the top in the middle of everything with a little black dot. So, if you turn your frame over and look at it, you'll see a little black line. That is going to be your top. Okay. And likewise, if you turn this part over, you're going to see a little black line. That's going to be your top for that. Also, this one has got a little line in it right there. And that's going to go right there. And this little part here has got a little black line at the top. And that'll go in there, right at the top. Oh, easier said than, oh, there we go. I was off cog. See how easy it is to get off. So that's how they're all going to match together, and they're all like that. I'm going to set this one aside. We are going to work with the ones that I have already got pre-prepped and pre-done for you, so I can show you how I detail them and then put one of them together. So like I said, I am working with a trio of things. I am working with yellow. I am working with white. And I am working with this pretty blue, okay? I'm going to get them so the tops of all of them are in one spot. This to me is the top where this little notch is. And here's the top of this one, this one, this one. So now I'm just going to mix and match with these three items, how I want them to go. Okay, I am going to go for a white frame. And then I am going to, from this one, take this blue insert. This is just how I'm putting together one of them. And then I'm going to do the yellow flower. All right. And then for the middle, I don't really want it blue or white. I am going to, I'll use this brown one that I did here. I'm going to make the middle brown on this one. Okay. So here is my little top part. There you go. And it's going to go on one of these backers. So your other ones, you're just going to make up in the opposite combinations. So like for this one, I am going to use, Ron, just 1 second. My favorite color, potential spam. My number one stalker. Oh, goodness sakes. There we go. All right. We're going to just close that off, and hopefully that's the end of that. So there's one of them I'm going to do. Then for this one, I am going to do a yellow frame, a white outline, a blue flower, and a yellow center. Okay. And this one, I'm going to use all the leftover parts. So I've got a blue frame, yellow outside, a white flower, and a blue center. So that's my triptych of how I'm going to put them all together. So I am just going to set these two aside. I'm going to show you how I do details. And then we're going to glue them all together. And then when you would just repeat that for all your other items. So here is the one I'm going to put together. It's going to go on this frame. And did I make a little dot on that? Well, anyway, we'll just make one now. We're going to pretend that there's a little dot at the top here. So I know which one's my top, and everything will go together. So here is the one that we're going to put together. So what I like to do is, sometimes this little white edge will show when I put things together, and I don't really care for that too much. So I take my black marker that I just had here, this black marker, and you're going to get one like this at the workshop. I'm just going to make that. And I like to trace my edge here and make it black. It's just something I like to do because it makes it easier to not have a white showing through. Okay, there we go. So that's what I do there. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my frame, and I'm not going to glue it down right away. I'm just going to clamp it on so it's on there, and then place everything else in and glue the frame on last. And that's just something I prefer to do. We're going to be using this glue again. But you're going to take your frame and you're going to line it up edge to edge as best you can. All right. Then at the workshop, you're going to get these little clamps. You can get these at the Dollar Tree. You can also use clothespins, but at the workshop, we will have proper clamps for you. And you're going to do one in each corner. Careful not to have anything right there. All right. We want to just have it on the very outside corner. All right. Awesome. I'm just going to set that aside. If you want to add details to this, now's the time to do that. So what I like to do is sometimes I like to make little white highlights here or there. Get my marker activated again. These white ones are kind of fussy. But maybe I want to do a couple little accents here or there. If I want to, on my flower, make some little accents on the yellow to just kind of give it some shading. I'll take a lighter yellow marker like this one and maybe do some shading along the petals, along the outside of each one, just to give it a little extra dimension. There we go. Apologize for that phone call coming in while I was crafting with you. That just happens sometimes. Okay, great. So that's all along there. And then if I wanted to darken things up on this a little bit, on the inside, I would go in with my antique wax again and my sponge, just getting a little bit on there and kind of get that just a touch on the inside. Now remember, we've got those black dots, so we know where everything has to go. So I know I'm at the top here. Okay. And I've got the top here. And we're going to put all this together in here. So I'm just going to do this as a little dry fit to make sure it fits in there okay. And remember, this is the top. Flip that out. There's your top right there. Okay. I am going to just do a few drops of glue here and there on this. You don't need to do a ton. And I'm just doing it where the glue is kind of in the middle here. It's not going to seep through the holes. I'll do a little bit on each end, kind of between these little dots that mimic stitching. Okay. And I'm just going to give that a good little press down with my hands. Okay. And once that is secure, I can unclamp my frame, pop that off, remember, top to top, and I don't have to be worried so much about getting glue on that frame. I can go right along this edge here. And you can just do drops, or like this comes out kind of easy, so I do like a little stream of glue. Hard to see, but it is there. Get my top back here and just press this on. And now that is framed, you're going to go ahead and you don't have to worry about matching it up or anything because it's going to go on there snug, just like a puzzle. Okay. And then we can just go about putting the rest of our things on there with glue. So that's the top. Here's your top. I'm going to take the flower. Okay. Here's my top. I'm going to put in my top slot and it fits right down there. It's a little loosey-goosey, this little piece here. Just want to kind of get it in as easy as possible. Line it up. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Remember, here's my top. It's going to go right there with my little flower center. And you're going to have a really pretty cornflower blue, sunflower yellow type flower for the spring/summer. And it does look like a granny square. And that is how those go together. And so then you're just going to repeat these for your other two, making them as fancy with your little accents as possible or as simple and not do anything to them. And then they'll be done. And then you'll have, of course, your coordinating yarn bundle and basket. And your little mini sign. And then stands for everything, of course. There's the stands for that. Stands for this. You've got your little deluxe interchangeable that goes into in the stand. And then you'll have all your other ones. These aren't glued together yet. Your other two that you're going to make as well. So it's a pretty fun little craft project that you get to do at the workshop for $40. So like I said, this one's March 1st. The link to sign up for it is in your comments here. I will also put it in the description after this goes live. And then remember, we've got a patriotic one, the barn quilt squared workshop that's coming up in April. But this one is March 1st. We have limited left, but we do have a few spots left. So you can go ahead and sign up at that link. If you've got questions about it or have trouble signing up, just let me know. I'm going to flip this back so you can see me talking. And then we'll talk a little bit and then we will be done for the afternoon. So hold on just one second here. While I take you on your roller coaster ride again, get you flipped around. so we can see a face. Hello. Are we secure? Let's see here. We can come down a little bit. There we go. All right. So that is it. That's how we're going to make all these fun items for the Granny Square Workshop. And I hope you think it's fun. If you like the looks of granny squares, but you don't crochet, this workshop is for you. If you love crocheting, this workshop's for you too, because you get to, pay a little tribute to your favorite hobby. I've got a lot of crocheters in my life that make some fun things. And just a fun little way for you to kind of express your hobby. And I hope you guys can make it. If you have any questions, like I said, drop them below. If not, you can, if you can't make it and come see us at a craft show or a workshop. Remember, you can shop everything on our website as well. And I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday. Enjoy those Olympics. We've got gold medal hockey game. We've got ice skating on tonight, all those fun things. I know that's what I'm going to be watching. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. If you got hit by the snow, I hope you're all dug out. And we will talk to you soon. Thank you for crafting in the afternoon with the speckled loon. My name's Susie. Bye for now.